right, so moving on to the Game Awards. This was held this past Thursday. If you were here with us, you saw our reactions to all the stuff that happened. Give me a second here, actually. Boom. And that, yeah, it was cool. There was a lot of stuff that was shown at the Game Awards. Not only the winners and losers of who won what award, but also a lot of trailers. And this year was bombastic. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I was like, so I basically wrote down, because there was a list online of the most popular talked about things on social media, and this was like post the event itself. So obviously, the first thing that everyone was talking about was the Death Stranding trailer, which is currently playing.
Yes.
It is crazy. It is weird. I mean, it'll play in its entirety because basically the video that you're using is
all the trailers. Yes, yeah. All the trailers.
But nobody knows what the hell's going on. But there's a lot of little hints everywhere through it, and everyone has a idea of what they think the game will be, but no one really knows because it's Kojima.
Yeah.
The other thing was I said the name. I wrote down the wrong name, but it's the From Software new game.
Oh, dude. Okay, so about that. So it's they didn't name it as far as like what the actual game is, but there's been some heavy hints, or people have been really just dissecting that short 50-second, 30-second trailer to what it could be. And people are either
not even 15 seconds. It's like maybe 5.
Yeah, people are saying it's either Bloodborne 2, or it could be Tenchu, or it could be some other game they've done in the past, which is some obscure games they might have done too as well. Man, I've never seen so many people just like going insane and trying to figure this out. I think it's Bloodborne 2, but it's also me wishful thinking. But it's super just. Yeah, that's all they gave us.
It was awesome. And then everyone was going crazy over the Breath of the Wild DLC that literally released the day that they announced it, which was awesome of Nintendo to do.
Yes.
And people seem to be enjoying the hell out of that, especially the motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was cool.
So they announced that Bayonetta 1 and 2 are coming to the Switch, which is fantastic because anyone who owns a Switch and wants to play them, you now have that opportunity. But then they took it a step further and made the announcement that they're developing Bayonetta 3, which Anthony promptly shit his pants on.
Oh yeah.
So that's great. Like I know that people want another Bayonetta. So awesome for them to get that. Then they not then because this is all out of order.
Right.
They announced they announced Soul Calibur 6, which we talked about during the pregame show. Which we'll go into further detail on like how we feel about certain parts of this. By the way, all of this we're just gleaming over. We will get into further conversation post podcast, which is exclusive to people watching the stream. They also showed the company that made what's it called? Firewitch. Thank you.
Yeah, the guy.
No, not Witchfire.
Oh, okay.
Which I'll get to in a little bit. The game that Firewatch.
Oh.
The game where you play as the guy in the forest and he's talking to somebody on his walkie-talkie the whole time. You have no idea what game I'm talking about, do you?
I totally forgot.
Anyway, the new game.
I think. Wait, he was in the snow, right? It was that snow one, right?
No.
Oh.
The game that I'm talking about that they showed during the Game Awards is called In the Valley of the Gods, and it's two women explorers that look like
that one. Okay.
Or like the 30s, I want to say the 30s or 40s,
mm-hmm.
and they're exploring an ancient Egyptian area, and at the end they have this like really old looking camera. So I'm fascinated to see where that goes because the team that made that, which I'm actually going to look that up right now because it's driving me nuts that you have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
No. Well, you know the game I'm talking about. You don't know. You're confused as to the development team that made the other game they made.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Firewatch. It's called Firewatch. The game Firewatch, Anthony, is a non-competitive.
No. I know what it is. It's like the company just like it escapes me. So
okay, good because you seem. I was like, are you confused with what game I'm talking about?
No, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, we're good. We're on the same page. Anyway, moving on. They showed a I want to say it was like it almost feels like the game will be similar to a Dark Souls or Bloodborne sort of thing called Fade into Silence.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know for sure. Like it looked like a lot of dodging kind of stuff. Like it just looked similar to me.
Right.
That like ultra hard combat game, third person combat game.
Mm-hmm.
PUBG announced that the release date for 1.0, basically the official final release of PUBG on PC. They also showed that like the day when it comes to early access for Xbox, which I already have known because I'm excited to play it. Sea of Thieves got a release date, which was March 20th, which is fantastic because I know that I'll be playing that.
Same here.
Dreams got a release window of next year, but as we pointed out during the podcast, Dreams is kind of a hard sell because you have to have the PSVR with it. So A Way Out was an interesting release. Like they showed the release date for it, which was March 23rd. And I'm excited about that game. I was excited about it when they showed it at E3. I'm excited about it now. The developer of it, though, his interview with Jeff Keighley.
He stole the show.
Holy crap, that was hilarious. I recommend going to YouTube and find like No Way Out director the Game Awards. Just type that in and watch that whole thing because it is
so good.
It's like my favorite moment of the whole Game Awards.
Yes.
So they showed Witchfire, which is a first-person shooting game that has a visual style it's like gothic monster sort of thing, but it's made by the same team who did Bulletstorm. So really excited about that.
Bulletstorm and Painkiller is another one.
Painkillers, yes, thank you. I couldn't remember the other game. Another game that was announced, which I believe they didn't show a whole lot, they just show what it looks like, but I believe that this game called GTFO is a four-player procedurally generated like survival game. Basically, you and a couple friends go into this area, you survive as long as you can, and you try to get the fuck out. I don't think there's going to be a story to it. Maybe there's some aesthetics to it in a story type thing, kind of like what Overwatch does.
Yeah.
But no actual story. They showed a multiplayer type open world game based around World War Z. That was interesting. Job Simulator, the VR game, has an expansion coming out, or a new version of the game, Vacation Simulator, which should be interesting. Squanchtendo Games has a new game coming out called Accounting Plus.
That looks hilarious and awesome at the same time.
Looks absolutely hysterical. But it's also developed by the same team who did Stanley Parable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like two hilarious teams come together and make a hilarious game.
It's great. It's great.
And the final thing that everyone was talking about was Fortnite that night released the 50v50 mode for a short period of time, which is a blast.
Yes.
Okay, so all that's out of the way. We will touch on some of this stuff in the post show because there's some stuff that I'd like to delve into a little bit further with you, Anthony.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But we'll get into that later. I now want to delve into the awards.
Let's settle the score on this one.
Okay, so I'm gonna go from top to bottom. I just copy and pasted a list because it's the comprehensive list. So it's in no particular order, just what I copied. So Game of the Year goes to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
That surprised me.
A little bit me too, honestly. I mean, it deserves it. I said it was either between that or Mario Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Best Game Direction, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Best Narrative, What Remains of Edith Finch.
Mm-hmm.
Best Art Direction, Cuphead.
Yeah, we got that right.
Which I totally agree with.
Yep.
Best Score / Music was Nier Automata.
Should have chose my heart on that one. God damn it.
Best Audio Design was Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Best Performance was Melina Juergens of Hellblade as Suena. Games for Impact, Hellblade, Suena's Sacrifice. Best Ongoing Game, Overwatch.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Best Independent Game, Cuphead. Best Mobile Game, Monument Valley 2.
Okay.
Best Handheld Game, you got this right, Metroid Samus Returns.
Yeah.
Best VR/AR game, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Best action game, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Best action adventure game, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Best role-playing game, Persona 5. Not surprising there at all. Best fighting game, Injustice 2, which actually is a huge surprise to me.
I can see it that way, but yeah.
I just felt like Tekken would have been higher up there, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Best family game, Super Mario Odyssey, which again I should have went with my gut on that one when we were predicting.
Yeah.
Best strategy game, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
That surprised me. I was like, what?
I mean, it's a really good game. If you haven't played it, it's a really solid game.
Yeah, it's good.
Best sports/racing game, Forza Motorsport 7. Not surprising there at all. Best multiplayer, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I suppose so, Mighty. The only reason that I was surprised by it was I felt like kind of the fighting community and reviewers as a whole would like Tekken a little bit more than Injustice, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with Injustice. I thought the story was a bit ridiculous, but whatever. The game itself isn't bad. Anyway, moving on. Best anticipated game, The Last of Us Part 2, which if you go back, like, there's a hilarious moment during that if you rewatch like them announcing that. Trending gamer went to Dr. Disrespect. Best esports game went to Overwatch. No surprise there whatsoever. That Overwatch, like the World Cup, had an insane amount of views.
Yep.
Best esports player went to Faker. Lee Sang-hyuk, which I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's a League of Legends player. Best esports team went to Cloud9, which I don't know if they're the best, but they're certainly the most popular.
Yeah.
Best student game award went to Level Squared.
I love, just real quick, I love after he accepted his award, he was like, I'm graduating next week, so please hire me. So I love that.
That's awesome. Best and the best debut indie game went to Cuphead.
Gotcha. So I was keeping an account in my head as far as I can look at the list. What was best audio direction? One more time.
Best audio direction. Audio was audio design. There's no audio direction, but best audio design went to Hellblade.
Okay. So I still win. I 6-5. Yes.
Good job at guessing. I mean, we could go through the podcast over the years that we've been doing this and see how many times I've been right and you've been wrong.
Well, I like to take this win, and I'd like to thank everybody who's supported me. Support me for my predictions on this podcast, and the person who controls this podcast. Thank you very much.
Oh, controls the podcast, huh? You dang old bird.
I think overall the Game Awards was a lot of fun to watch this year. Jeff Keighley has definitely put on a show that, while it may not be as some people would put it, the Oscars of the game, the video game industry, which we already have something like that. It is definitely a lot of fun to watch and has a balance of Game Awards and trailers to balance out people keeping interested into the award show, as well as seeing some of these other things they put in there, including like the heartwarming spotlight on the woman designer.
That was something that like didn't pop up on the list that I found, but yeah, had she was one of the earliest coders in like the early days of the Atari. And it's crazy that like people just weren't talking about that more, because for me that was really touching and really nice.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really cool moment. And the award show this year was great overall. Like I definitely am looking forward to the next year now. I mean, it's kind of hard for them now to kind of top about from this year. That's the thing, because they had so many huge things that was announced that
actually, I'm going to say this, Anthony. I think if they just keep doing what they did this year for the next few years, it'll be fine. What I would like to see, though, is, I've talked about this before, and before I get into this, I actually want to touch up on what Mighty Sandwich said. I totally agree with you. I think absolutely NetherRealm makes games for the casual audience, not necessarily for the hardcore, and that's absolutely a good reason why they won.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think about it when I was predicting. um, the reason that award shows exist is to sell product. They are giant commercials. They've always been giant commercials.
Has it been the case for the Oscars as well?
Oh yeah, watch the Oscars and watch how often they take a commercial break. Watch how often an announcer goes, "This next segment is brought to you by blah blah blah."
Really?
Oh fuck yes.
I've not watched Oscars in eons, but that's a thing now, or has been a thing.
The Emmys, the Grammys, all of it, dude. All of it is to sell things, and not just to sell things, but also to promote things that people may not have watched.
Oh wow.
A movie could come out and a studio could put a lot of money behind it and know full well that it's not going to make that money back, but they're not banking on that money. They're banking on the money that's going to come from it winning at the Oscars.
I see.
So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with that, and the Game Awards are really no different. People kind of put the Game Awards on like a higher pedestal than, let's say, the Oscars or the Emmys because one's much older than the other. And a lot of people kind of like to think that gaming is for the younger crowd, when realistically, most gamers at this point, people who are kind of in control of this kind of stuff, who watch this kind of stuff, are our age. They're the older crowd.
Yeah.
We have become the older crowd.
Yeah, ironically, we are the old men of the game community.
Well, the streamies are what, like we were excited to see when they were like first doing a Game Award shows,
Yeah.
But in that regard, now they're showing the In the Valley of the Gods game. The thing for me is that, like, it needs. I mean, they did a really good job at making it entertaining, also, advertising the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of that, but I want to see them push it a little bit more. Go to the extent of having more bands, having more musical acts.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, we only need to know about maybe 8 awards during the entire thing. The major ones: the Game of the Year, the best multiplayer game, best fighting game, best RPG. Those kind of ones are important. We don't need to know about best art direction. We don't need to know about that. Like, we can learn about that.
Yeah.
Like the way that Jeff Keighley was just kind of like, all right, we have this, 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 and this. Congratulations, guys. But ultimately, like, the awards don't matter. I mean, if you look at what awards are, they're literally just like putting something on a pedestal where, like, all the games in that category are phenomenal games. Why are we saying 1 out of those 5 is the best one? It's nonsense. And not just games, but like we do this with movies, we do this with fucking music, we do this with everything. And it's not totally necessary. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, and I'm not critiquing it for being fun. I'm just saying, as an audience, we have to understand what it is and what we're getting. And what we're getting is a giant advertisement while celebrating the year in gaming that we enjoyed.
Yes, exactly. And I think that Jeff Keighley knows this, and he definitely has definitely nailed it this year specifically when it comes to that. And going forward, the Game Awards is looking like to be a really good thing in the game industry for years to come if they keep it at this pace. And for those who want to see an Oscar-like award show that is less about the advertisements and more about the game development and the people behind the scenes, there is one. It's called the Dice Awards, and that's pretty much if that's what you want, that's what you can go and see.
That's the industry awards.
Yes. So there's room for both, and I think that Jeff Keighley has nailed it out of the park with this one for this year. I think that, I feel like
arguably, Anthony, even the awards are dangerously close to just being for advertising and pushing forward things that maybe people hadn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
They just do it in a different way. They make it look like it's more for an audience that, I don't want to say pretentious, but definitely the word pretentious is a word that comes to mind. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, like, you're going to enjoy a lot more stuff when you understand that what the purpose of stuff is, you know?
Right.
So that's for me, that's why I enjoy the Game Awards so much, is because I know what it is. It's, I mean, it is what it is. It's a giant advertisement that celebrates gaming, so I'm going to enjoy that.
Definitely. All right, so moving on to our next topic at hand.